Okay, it is 6:01, so I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum of 3 board members. Board, would you like me to facilitate your meeting this evening?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so first on the agenda for tonight, we have the approval of the minutes from November 11th. Ooh, I will just need a motion and a second when you are ready.
I will motion.
Thank you, Alex.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cody. Any board discussion on the motion? Any
No.
homeowner discussion on the motion? If so, please raise your hand. Not seeing any raised hands. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the financials, this is as of October 31st. In your combined checking operating accounts between the gate checking and the regular checking, you have $113,757.92. In the reserves, you have a Capital One savings, the gate money market, and then the regular money market. You have $718,564.97. You have other receivables that are due to you in the amount of $19,772.63. And you have some prepaid assessments of $22,729.80. Looking at your income statement, I don't see anything that's not expected by the board. Did the board have any questions on the financials?
There's a line item titled suspense. What is that?
Harmon, do you want to answer that question?
It's on the reserve. It's on the balance sheet.
Balance sheet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is usually shows up when there's a transfer from one account to another as a holding area. So I will have to look and research why that is. Normally, it should not be there. I will take that and I will email the board tomorrow with the answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Harmon.
Hmm.
Sure.
Okay. Any more questions? If no questions, I will need a motion and a second to approve as presented, subject to audit at the end of the year.
Subject to audit. I'll motion. Yep.
Thank you, Alex.
I
I'll
second it.
se-
Thank you, Marcus. Okay. Any more board discussion? Any homeowner comment on the motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Next, Jonathan, I'm asking you to raise your hand, unmute. You have a question on the motion?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember where raising hand was and where mute was. Is the board presented this information prior to this meeting, or is it just unveiled on the day of?
Nope, the board gets the meeting packet 7 days in advance, as well as the financials are up on the portal for homeowners to review.
Okay, because I was just curious. Alex or Cody had a question about suspense, and I wonder why he hadn't seen it before.
So
It,
agreeing, I believe that was Cody's question, but agreeing with him, the suspense. There's obviously line items here that I have questions about. I do not recall seeing suspense on the line items before. Cody, do you recall seeing those?
I don't.
it's usually not on there. That's why
Yeah.
it's a. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to old business. We do have the walls, the project management. Previous board had reviewed a project manager by the name of Clay Jordan. They were at the point of getting ready to approve his contract to draw up the scope of work for the walls as well as overseeing the walls project. And then it was placed on hold due to the re-election. I did speak with Clay Jordan. He did update his bid because the bid originally was given last year. And so the updated bid, sorry guys, is about $1,500 higher than the original.
I'm sorry, that was how much higher?
1,500. It went to, I just have to find the last page here.
Obviously, assuming that there were bids for this project manager, he was decided upon all of that. How many bids did we reach out for, and where do we source the contractors that we sought bids for?
So as a overseer and a spec, we contacted people within the industry, and this is the only bid we received back that would take care of this scope of work.
And when you say people in the industry, does that mean the state record of or the registry of contractors that handle particular lines of construction business and whatnot?
We deal with there's vendors that register with the CAI or AACM. There are vendors that register for HOAs, and we usually go out for those. We learn of them at trade shows, things like that, and that's where those are the vendors that we had contacted.
Okay.
You said this is the only vendor that came back with an
A
actual
bid.
bid, Brooke.
Correct.
Did the other ones give a reason why, or they just didn't respond?
They were not interested in the project.
Any
Nice.
reason why? Did they give a response to that?
Nope, they just said they were not interested in the project because of, I'm assuming because of the scope and the ongoing, they wouldn't be able to pick up as many other projects in between.
Well, not to mention probably the time it's going to take to oversee this entire project, right? It's not a 30-day project. This is at least a year, if not 24 months. So
Correct.
So most companies are like, hey, that's not our wheelhouse. We don't want a 2-year project.
We find that a lot. Yes.
And Brooke, just to understand, so the project manager, right, their job is to draw up all the scope of works for all the what needs to be done. They're going to get bids for all the work to be done, and then they'll manage that, present it back to us so we can review. Okay.
Correct. What they'll
And
do is if approved at the new rate, they will go ahead and draw up your scope of work. They'll write your bid specifications. They'll then send it out to contractors that they are familiar with in his line of work. If you have other vendors that you would like to have the bids go to, we can include that as well. And then he'll do all the bid process. He'll make sure they're apple to apple bids. He'll then present them to the board and go from there. He already has looked at your wall report by Pressler Criterium. So he had all the information when he built his bid. So he knew the extent of the project. He also has already been on property and looked at walls just to see how long and how much this project would take.
Did he happen to mention the length of allowance for this contract? How long is it open for at this price?
It would include all his scope of work bidding, and the first half of the project, I'd have to double check to see if there's any additional cost depending on how long the project goes.
So
But we do need the scope of work for sure.
Yeah, the reason that I ask is because if we wanted to go out and solicit more bids on this, seeing as we had one response, it reason at least in my head, I'm reasoning that we should be looking at other bids. There's definitely more than one project manager out there. Is this guy the best deal? Just because he's the only guy that responded, I don't feel super keen on jumping in with this guy. Yeah.
Understandable.
To Brooke's point, Alex, I'm just curious if you use that CIA or whatever resource, how many more resources do you have available to find other contractors that would do this? Like where are you going to find these other teams, these other companies that can do it?
Good question.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm sorry, I was talking to Brooke. I was just talking to
Okay,
Brooke
sorry.
because I was just curious.
I would not even know where to search for. I mean, I asked contractors to see who would be another person that they would recommend, and they didn't even have any recommendations for me.
Well, I guess maybe the board can assist with that, right? We can start filtering through too, right?
Yep.
I'm sure we're all happy to do that. So.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so does the board want to table this bid at this time then?
Sounds like.
Okay, I just need a motion. Well, actually, I don't even need a motion if we're going to table. Okay, perfect.
Is it you guys all good with tabling this so we can do some homework and try and see if we can find other bids?
Yeah, I'm concerned obviously with timing. You know, it's just we just keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
But to everybody's point, I mean, that's a lot of money sitting there. Even if we found it, I don't know.
Is there any room for consideration of managing the project in a smaller scope of work so that we can address like the high priority, largest risk items first? And
That
then,
he was going to go based on your study that you received on your higher risk walls and go down, but he was writing the scope for all wall repair. This was the cost for all the walls,
Right.
but it would be in phases such as laid it on the study.
So Brooke, to clarify, so this cost, is this the scope for him to manage all the walls till it's all done? Or I thought you said that just all the bids and then just the first half.
I'd have to verify, but my understanding is when I originally spoke with him and when he met with he was in the original meeting. He actually came, the previous board did speak with him and did have questions for him, but I have to just verify that it's for the entire project. But I know for sure it's for the writing of the scope, sending out the bids, and actually it might even say.
Yeah, it should be defined in here, and if it's not, it needs to be. But I would imagine it is with how detailed this looks.
Conduct final review of pre-approved contract and scope selected, coordinate project lists, section phases and mapping with client on-site, project kickoff meeting with client, project contractor to work, reviews final draft, standards, specifications, contract change orders, proposed schedule and maps. Project tracking throughout all kinds of contract change orders. Yeah, it looks like this is actually going to the end because he's going through project closeout.
Look at page 2 of 18.
2 of 18.
Yeah, project management consulting scope of work. It's not a open-ended. It's an 8 to 12 month based upon approximately $600,000. There you go. That's page 1, page 2. There you go. That paragraph. You went down there. There you go.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Project management consulting scope of work.
Should this project work be revised?
I guess so. The next question is, how much work does he think he can get done in 8 to 12 months? Right? Is this the highest, most required walls, or is this half the community, 3/4 of the community? I'd like to know how much.
Maybe a good idea to bring Clay back and have all these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be good to interview him because the previous board had that opportunity. Certainly, if you're going to hire a consultant, you need to be comfortable with working with them and discuss ideas of phase.
Okay.
He does know that he does not think this is a $600,000 project. When I did talk to him originally, he puts this at $1 million, a couple $1 million project.
Okay.
Well, we don't know until we get a scope of work and bids.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just talking with him though. That was his rough idea that it would be at least a couple. million for all walls.
So it's the contract is until completion of all work. That includes and considers into this any extensions in time that are required due to complications or additional work that's found that needs to be done. Is
think-
this based off of the contract of a $600,000 block of work? How is he measuring this?
That's what it looks like. It looks like he's basing it off of the first $600,000. So that would definitely be to bring him back to a meeting and clarify all these questions.
Cool. Okay.
I will get with Clay and see if we can make it once the next meeting is decided on at the end of today's meeting. So next, the previous board had asked for bids to paint the mailboxes. We originally got 3 bids. They were received last year, at the end of last year. So we did go ahead and contact them to update their bids. When I contacted all 3 vendors, one did come back and advise that they are too busy to rebid. So I have 2 of the original bids at this time for review by the board. And the first one is Sharper Edge Painting. So this is the sand to remove all stickers, glue and rust, tape off keyholes, numbers if necessary, prime and seal. And their bid was for $6,500. These are all mailboxes in all of the community. So on both sides of Warner. And then south of Knox. And the other one was Arizona Experts, and their bid came back at $9,107.
Can you elaborate? Because I don't know, I haven't done the count on the mailboxes, but I believe is the Sharper Edge quote, it counts the actual mailboxes that are there, but also states that there's almost double the some other unit or standalone units. Can you go up to the other contract, not Arizona Experts, the Sharper Edge one?
62 is
Yeah,
what they're quoting.
I think you say there's 35 mail stations, but there's like standalone units. There's like 2 per station, essentially, is how I read that.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because they're not cabinets like some communities have. They're actually standalone.
But they look like they're together, but they're truly standalone. Right?
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me understand how, I mean, this might just be corporate business costs, things are more expensive with businesses, but $9,100 to paint mailboxes sounds mind-blowingly absurd to me. Even at $6,000 or $6,500, I'm like, hold on a second. Like, we got 2 total responses, right? Or these are just the 2 best ones that we received.
No, so what happens is we go to Dunn Edwards. Dunn Edwards draws up the scope of work. They meet contractors. They send out contracts for bids, and these are who respond back. They send out 6 to 7 requests, and we received 3 out of those 6 or 7 that were sent to who are interested in the project. And then out of those 3 original bids, 2 of them reviewed their numbers. I will say Sharper Image didn't increase their bid at all. The other company did.
I see.
So Alex, I'm no painter, right? I don't like to paint at all, but I do know there's a lot involved, right? You got to scrape off the old paint, you got to tape off, you got to the keyholes, all that stuff. You can't just go with a brush and start whacking them down. I agree, $6,500 is a lot of money, but at the same time, it's probably a lot of work, is my guess.
6,500 divided by 35. Well, if you think we do the math, they're charging $185 per station at $6,500. That's actually not bad at all, in my opinion. If they're prepping it right? You got to sand it down, you got to clean it. If you don't prep a paint surface correctly, you're going to have a mess on your hands. Two questions I see, Brooke. Arizona Experts, clear as mud, says, hey, 5-year warranty.
Mhm.
I don't see any warranty from Sharper Edge. Do they warranty and guarantee their work?
I have never worked with Sharper Edge, so that I would have to clarify. I know there's a warranty that's required per, let me pull up the spec from Dud Edwards of what they bid out. Because, let's see. That was the map. Let's see.
One option board you could do is you could uh, vote or approve Sharper Edge with the caveat that they match or provide a 5-year warranty in writing.
I like that idea from the hip because I drove the community a couple days ago. There are mailboxes that are in really, really poor shape.
Yep, and we've been wanting to get this done for a year or
Right.
more.
It looks really bad. And if it's a matter of 3-year, 5-year warranty, to me, it's like, it's almost a no brainer because it just doesn't look good. But
Well,
I
the
like,
counter, I like where you're going with that. And also on Arizona Experts, it also says we'll meet or beat competitive pricing. So I'd be inclined to say, let's put the two against each other and say, who wants to play, give us the better deal. I mean, the warranty's important. Obviously, you don't want to pay $9,000. That seems a bit high. Um, but I also like the idea of a warranty that backs up their work. But I'm also curious, Brooke, you're looking up what the is required anyways. So maybe it's a mute point.
Yeah, so it looks like warranty. So that's material warranties, but they bid out when the project can be done, what degrees it has to be under. And
I'm
this is
kind of,
why
I'm
we
of
have
the,
Dun Edwards do it.
Cody, I'm of the mindset that we approve the cheaper quote, assuming they can provide a 5-year warranty. If we put them against each other, we have to get together again to approve that bid. So we're now 30 days past today, right?
That's fair.
We can't just approve it on our own regard. So
Yep.
I don't. It's not something that needs to be done tomorrow, but I certainly don't want it being done in 60 days.
Yep. I get you.
Yeah, so it doesn't specify. Usually they write their warranty in there, but it doesn't specify a 5 or a 7. I've never seen a bid not have a warranty, not have a warranty on the contract, but I can clarify with Sharper Edge of what their warranty is for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can come to an agreement tonight and commit to 6,500 to get all the mailboxes done, let's do it.
Yep. I'd say I'd be okay with it. Like I said, pending we get it, they give us a warranty in writing. I'd be okay with that.
There's
Yeah,
part of our governing documents, if I recall, that does state that we need to have, along with the bids, like reasonable warranty or coverage over the work that
Yeah.
is done, right? So I think we're compelled to make sure that that's the case. As long as it is, great. Let's do it.
yeah, they'll send over if approved, they will send over a contract to be signed but I can clarify their warranty with them and make sure it's a 5-year. Painting is usually from between 5 and 7, so.
part of this, and I think we can talk about it. One of the things you got to make sure is at least I know the mailboxes I've seen, there's no, shrubs or stuff growing around them where it's going to cause issues. Do we have any mailboxes where we need to have landscaping go clean them up and no? Okay.
No, no.
All right. And then if it's possible to, if once we approve this, get dates, I think it'd be smart to send an email out to the community saying, hey, FYI, mailboxes are painted on these dates. Just, people aren't trying to walk up, get their mail, just start, they have an idea of what's going on, when that's going to occur. I'd like to be able to give some kind of a window if possible.
Sure. They usually do give us a schedule, and usually we do send it out to the community once things like this happen. So if you want to move forward pending the 5-year warranty with Sharper Edge, I will just need a motion in a second.
I'll motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cody. Any more board discussion? Any homeowner discussion? Jonathan, do you have a comment on this motion?
Back to the painting of the mailboxes.
Mhm.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
My question was prior on the larger quote for the walls.
Okay, there was no motion made, so there is no discussion from homeowners because there's no motion on the
We're
floor.
only allowed to talk on items where you say.
When there's a motion, a board per state statute, a homeowner per state statute may only comment in a motion before the board goes to a vote.
Okay, well, I'll make a general statement towards quotes like this. As Alex said, we should be getting multiple quotes for anything that we're doing. In addition, let's say the walls haven't, or not the walls, the painting hasn't been done for 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure why we're suddenly in a hurry.
Because we have things that have been sitting for 2 or 3 years not getting addressed, and we're wanting to make improvements in the community that we've committed to when we ran for the board.
Well, it wasn't necessarily to you. I'm just saying there's a motion to put forward a single bid on an item. You've asked questions about where the multiple bids that we don't have. No other questions have been asked about that. I don't know why it's imperative to make a decision on something like that when we were in a hurry for the last 2, 3 years, which has nothing to do with you guys, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that
But
very good question on a general level. In the case of the painting, we're talking about 2 quotes that we received responses for. And how many was it, Brooke, did you say that we originally sent out a request for bids?
We requested 7 and we received 3. And then when we asked for an update due to the length of when we got the original bids, 2 came back with updated bids. 1 advised that they could not commit to a new bid due to their work that they currently have on schedule.
Perfect. So if
that
the
information
pricing,
is available to the board,
sorry, what was that again?
and all that information is available to you guys, the board.
Yeah,
Yes,
they have it in their board packet.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on, we do have next board vacancies under old business.
Awesome.
How do we want to start proceeding with this? We just open it up for the discussion between us, right, on how we want to proceed with this?
Correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I've got mixed feelings, to be quite honest. We've got ourselves, we're looking at December. We would appoint someone, next open board meeting, if we were to go and do that, right? If we were to decide on something between now and next board meeting, right? That's okay. So then we're looking at January. And then we've got a new election in May. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it worth spending the time to onboard and appoint additional board members? can we work as with what we have in order to avoid additional churn in order to be able to get some stuff done?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I think where I'm at is, there's been a lot of suggestions and ideas from homeowners. We're seeing a lot of feedback, and I think no matter, what is done, there's going to be, unfortunately, a group of homeowners that isn't happy with it, right? There's these people, this person, that there's no great answer. I kind of like where you're going, Alex. Because I also want, the whole point of the election is let the community choose. So if we did that, trying to think that through real quick, and just hold the election. So then Brooke, if we did the election in May, it would be my seat. I think my seat is up, correct? And then
Correct.
the two open vacancies, right?
Correct.
Okay.
There would be a 2-year term because it's the rest of the term that is current you have to fill. There would be 2 3-year terms because each board member then going forward has a 3-year term. Because the
Just how we
reason
get
you
the
guys are
alternate.
staggered the way you are is because you didn't take over new seats, you took over seats that were currently in terms, and you have to complete those terms before you get a 3-year new term. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, I got lost about
Okay.
right after you said so. So would you mind just
Sure.
breaking
So
that down in simple terms?
every term is 3 years. But when you recall, you don't get a new 3-year term. Those people that we recalled have seats that have certain terms left over. So you have to complete those terms first before you get a new 3-year term. So that's why you have one that's a 2-year, and then the other two were up 100%, so they get a full new term of 3 years.
Got it.
So, okay.
It's a way to keep you staggered,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and this has been verified with legal counsel.
And these board appointments, assuming that we fill them with someone, would be up in May for the election. Is that correct?
Correct, because when you appoint, you only fill a term until the next annual meeting.
So it would literally be a 5-month or 4-month term.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I've spent a fair amount of time already looking through finances and trying to track or rather trace, where is going where. And that's been quite a bit of work as it stands. So I could see where there'd be value in filling the board seats with additional board members in order to help carry the lift on some of the other stuff. At the same time, I haven't been able to spend much time really thinking about filling board seats up until yesterday, day before yesterday, just simply given priority focus. So I don't know how I feel about it.
And I will say this, because even if you chose the next 2 people that had the next 2 votes, which you don't have to do, that's not mandatory, that's not required. You can appoint anybody from the community. It doesn't have to be the next 2 that were voted in. Even those next 2 voted in would only have served the term until the next annual meeting, because the board is appointing them.
Okay.
So, I've thought about that part too, and you're looking at it from, how the election ran, right? Essentially, we'd be bringing in 2 people who weren't, elected by the community. So, well, yes, there would be a subset of people who'd probably be, who voted for them. What is it? How did the rest of the homeowners feel who didn't vote for them? But then on the flip side, if we just appoint, someone else at all, it's a lose-lose. So, I'm kind of inclined, liking just the let the community choose, at the open meeting, the next election in May, I think you said, Brooke.
Yeah.
This way the community gets to choose, and, the members that are there who were elected by the homeowners. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with the idea that the community should, yes, the community should be voting for and deciding who the board members are, the board of directors. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the idea that because they're not voted on, that there's not reason for the board seats to be filled. However, um, I will say again that I have not been able to put much thought into this. I have had people that have spoken personal interest for wanting to sit on the board, but I've also had people speak openly, or at least to me, about just leaving it as it is. So I hear different opinions on the matter. I mean, on the one hand, I really, really don't. I'm not super keen on putting somebody else in a hot seat that's going to be attacked by homeowners. That certainly sounds like a bonus to not fill the seats if I'm going to be completely candid.
Sure.
But like the what it comes down to for me is efficiency. Are we going to be more efficient if we have to find new board members to take the seats temporarily? And are they going to be efficient at the time and place in which they do get appointed to the time that their appointment is up, right? And we've got, what is it, a 5 month time span, about 5 months, right?
You have four
So
meetings that they would be a part of, basically. Well,
four
not
meetings.
even. It would be basically 3.5 because you would appoint them at the next meeting. They don't know they don't have the board background. So you're at three, basically.
Okay, so well, okay. Let's just say from the point in time that they're elected, 5 months, four meetings, right? There's things that we can do behind the scenes, like get the training and whatever done. But at the same time, like I'm comparing where I am at right now, 6 months in to being a board member, 7 months, and there's still things that I feel like I am just really, I'm trying hard, but I'm really struggling with a couple of things that I still just cannot grasp. Is a new board member going to be effective in that 5 month time span? Would it make more sense, actually thinking about this now, would it make more sense instead to have committees and make sure that the board, while the board isn't more accessible, and I know that we're not talking about this in the form of subject matter that we've got on the agenda here, but like, would it make more sense to have more people have the ability to be able to contribute in lieu of new board members for that time moving forward until the election? That is.
Brooke, a committee, just to clarify, Alex, I like where you're going with that. A committee would stay on even new election, new board members, unless that new board said, hey, we don't like this committee. That committee keeps going, so it's fluid all the way through, correct?
There it is. There's committees. Yes, when you have a committee, now one board member always has to be on the committee.
Yep,
You have to
understood.
be the chair. You as the chair is what bring the information back to the board. Committee members cannot have direct communications with the board. Um, so it depends, but a board can remove a committee at any time with no reason.
Is there a minimum amount of people that need to be on the board? Could there be 3, 5? What's the standard for a committee?
A committee usually is anywhere from 3 to 5, and you have your one chair, which is your board member. And committees, if they have a regular scheduled meeting, like say they meet every second Tuesday of the month, that actually is open to the community. They have to take minutes. It has to be posted. So there's rules for committees as well. Otherwise, if they do ad hoc meetings, then there's no meeting postings.
You need a paper trail. You need,
Yeah.
some form of audit. Yep.
Yep.
Audit tracking, that is. Well, I certainly am not making any decision today about nominating or appointing someone. That's for sure. I haven't received any formal applicants. I don't even know if that's, or obviously we wouldn't have the applications right now. If we were to open that up, fine, if that's what we decide on. I could go honestly either way here. I see a benefit and a negative to both, to be quite honest.
Brooke, what is the process if we want to appoint somebody? What does that process entail?
So it would have to be on the agenda in the open meeting, and then a motion would need to be made to appoint a person and seconded and then approved.
So we don't have to put out like a call for volunteers or who wants to
You
throw their name in a
can,
hat.
I mean, communities do put out are you interested in being on the board?
Got it.
Email, and then we'd present that to the board.
So then with that being said, we're January anyways, right? We're not doing any kind of deciding on who
Correct.
today because it's got to be posted on the agenda, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So we pick it to January, we nominate them, and then it's effectively February before they really take hold of anything. And then we're re-electing them in May, or they're running again in May. So
Correct.
3 months. Okay. Wow.
As it stands right now, I see less risk, less liability, and more productivity by focusing on what we already have established and moving forward. Getting down to brass tacks here, unless I mean, there is very much the concern that I have right now of being unable to work as quickly as we otherwise may be able to with some other board members. But I've already mentioned the what that entails, right, and the time. So I'm open to the other side of this argument.
Now that I have an argument on the other side, I'm leaning towards where you're at. The question is, do we want to think about, do we need to think about it more? Do we want to think about it more? Do we just make a decision now on what we're going to do? And what are you guys thinking?
We can carry this conversation from open meeting to open meeting if we're having them every month. That's great. Obviously, if we have this in another month, we're talking about one less month.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
For someone. So,
yeah,
if we're going to take action, it makes sense to take action now.
Yep.
I know that there are homeowners, I know personally homeowners that have spoken about wanting to contribute to the community in both committee and in board position capacities. Why not focus on committees? We've already gone through all of this turmoil, all of this work, all of this effort to go through a new election, get everything straightened out. I'm just recapping the last 9 months. It is abundantly clear to me that no matter what decision that we make here right now is going to be criticized by a handful of people, and it's going to be supported by a handful. So when it comes down to it, I would rather be not involved with putting another individual through that turmoil or whatever turmoil there happens to be between now and whoever knows, than contribute to somebody else's misery in that regard.
Sorry, it's not funny, but yeah.
I try
you're
to
absolutely right. You're absolutely right, though. No, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm there as well. So, I'd be okay. Get to your point, right? We can keep talking and talking, and then at that point, it's time for the open meeting. We have election anyways. So, I say we just make a decision now and just get it done.
I would need a motion and a second, if either which way you're thinking about going.
Marcus, what are you thinking, sir?
I'm right there with you guys. I just think the timeline's too short. I think it's a lose-lose. If we appoint somebody, someone's going to be upset. It's not. I don't want that on my shoulders. I just want to get work done. Let's go. I think we let the community decide again in May. So I'm of the mindset that we don't appoint board members. You know, right now until May.
If we had more than half a year to address this, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
But here we are.
You ready to motion?
I will motion to forego appointing board members, at least for now.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any more discussion from the board? I do have to open it up to homeowners if not.
None for me.
Okay. Jonathan, I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Kind of knew how this would play out, but the onboarding new members and the training, I mean, that's kind of funny because Focus leads the meeting. So I'm not sure how much a new board member actually has to know. And Brooke had said you guys would go with the next board members with the most votes, but that's not even been entertained.
She said you didn't, John.
I said you didn't have to.
You did not.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that was an option. And if the board is not going to choose, will you still be mandating a code of ethics agreement as well as the corporate transparency acts for these members?
I am totally happy to discuss and review a code of ethics and agree to one. Absolutely.
Same.
100%.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bill asking you to unmute.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so thank you all for making a decision. As appointed on the board, you have to make those tough decisions. Okay, great. You can have 15 people on the board if you want to have 15 people on the board. You can have 50 people in a committee if you want to have 50 people in a committee. Fine. If that's what's going to take to get the job done, do what you need to do. As a board, make those tough decisions. That's it. It's going to be hard. We appreciate what you're doing. It's just one step at a time. And if you need help, reach out to the HOA. Like you said, there are people who are willing, who want to, me included. Use me, abuse me. And you can't please everyone 100% of the time. You're going to have the negativity. Don't take it personally. You're in a position to help the HOA. Believe in what you're doing. Don't second guess yourself. Make the proper decisions and discuss it and move forward. That's all. We just appreciate what you're doing, and you got backup to help you if you need to. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Art asking you to unmute.
Here we are. Okay. With all respect, we have the two people who got the next lower amount of votes. They have been vetted more or less through the community. You know, I don't even know who they are, but that doesn't make any difference. If we go to a committee, those committees couldn't be active until February at the earliest. If we delay it, we're still talking February at the earliest. Having vetted people sitting around and waiting for us as the board and waiting for the board, I don't know if any of them are in the meeting tonight, they could be appointed and be active tonight. And to speaking to Alex's idea with, have all the respect in the world for you, Alex, but the most effective, efficient form of government is a dictatorship. One person, all of the vote in one person. Having it spread out among three people, you get three different points of view. You get five people, you got five points of view. So that would be my suggestion. If it was me, I just drop the hammer tonight, go for the next two people, and they could start up in January. Thank you.
Thanks, Art.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands raised, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on, we have the gated parcel paving. So
Hey,
originally,
Brooke,
yeah,
real quick, I know we're running short on time. Are there specific agenda items that are more important than others? Because obviously it looks like a few are gonna probably have to get pushed, because I know we gotta stop at 7.
Yeah.
Guys, should we bounce around a little bit on the rest of the agenda items, or what do we just want to go through and see how far we get?
Sorry, go ahead.
the next agenda item is not really, there's nothing to vote on. I just need to let you guys know that we need to go out to rebid for the paving for the gated parcel because it's been so long. So that takes care of that one. The next one is the fencing. There is a fence that is coming apart from the wall. It is between 587 and 599 South Roanoke. Sun King Gates has done a lot of your work for fencing. We received a bid from him for $2,679.29 to repair this fence. He did state that to replace the fence, it would cost $5,700. But he says it doesn't need to be replaced. He can just replace the 6 rusted posts that are on there. So he wanted to let you know, because he's worked with this community so many times that he didn't feel that it needed to be completely replaced. He just can work on those 6 panels. It is a risk to your, kids and things that do climb over this fence. Unfortunately, it is between you and Morrison Ranch, but it's 100% this Greenfield Lakes responsibility.
Okay. Yeah, the idea of that falling, if there's a kid climbing on it, is not a good thing to have happen.
Yeah, even though they shouldn't be climbing on it, you know how it goes. Teenagers do what they want.
Right. Tell me about it. I have a question about the approval, the motion and approval of moving forward with a bid. Let's just say in this case that we've got this bid. We wanted to seek some additional bids. We want to keep this as efficient and move forward in a quick manner. Now, this bid, if we said that we wanted to seek out 3 more bids from people and get those bids and approve for, say, the max with equal warranty, parts, whatever that they're including here, if somebody can beat them out, that we can approve that tonight and move forward with another contractor as so long as they're under this amount. Would
Yeah,
that be
you can say you'd like us to try to get additional bids, not to exceed this bid. If they exceed this bid, move forward with Sun King. That's an option.
Great idea.
Or you guys can review bids by email and you have to unanimously consent approve. So
Alex, that's a great call. I like that idea. I'd like to see something if we can, Brooke, obviously we've done a lot of work with Sun King. That's great. Just a check to make sure, hey, it's comparable. Obviously if someone comes in with $1,000 bid, maybe not the best choice. We need to understand that a little bit, but just to make sure we're in the ballpark.
Yep.
I would just need a motion in a second.
So I'm willing to motion for best bid under $2,700, assuming that this one is the best right now, with the possibility of 3 other bids coming through being lower that are equal.
3 additional bids or 2 additional bids to have 3 total.
At least 2 more.
Okay.
That's good.
That's me at least.
With that motion, can that also include timelines, right? If other ones say, hey, I can't get to it for 6 months, don't care how good the price is, it's not a viable option.
Yeah, yeah. The problem, a lot of times, I will be honest with you, at this time of year, it does take longer to get bids. We are seeing vendors that are taking over 30 days to send us bids. So, but I will
Really?
keep you guys. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Even current like landscapers that I have on different properties are taking longer to get bids and they're
Really?
contracted.
Brooke, do we need to put something on, like a sign on the fence that just says caution or just something to say, hey, this is falling out of the wall, you probably shouldn't climb on that, or is that not really relevant? I mean, when I was a kid, I could care less, but
I mean, we
I
can put one on, but it's really not going to make a
yeah,
difference either way.
We're still going to be liable.
yeah, it's kind of weird. Okay.
But because you guys are working on it, that you're not 100% liable. Okay. Is there a second to Alex's motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Cody. All right. Any more discussion by the board?
Sorry, Cody, did we firm up a turnaround on that? If we can get it within, I would love to see that this is done before the next meeting, that we can, make a decision on it.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Any more board discussion? Any homeowner discussion? Seeing no hands, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Carries unanimously. All right, it is 6:57. Do you want to move on, or we do have to pick a next meeting date?
Oh, man, I really want to get to the next topic, at least touch it a little bit. Shoot.
No, that's that's
Can
fine.
we, can we,
talk
what do you
about
guys think?
committees.
Can we run into that a little bit and then if you could cut short later, or what do you guys think?
Regarding the committees,
Yep.
I think that is warranted given current state of stuff.
yeah.
And Brooke, for the next meeting date, I think we should make sure we have a date that obviously has worked for everybody, but also we want to have the project manager attend that as well.
Yeah, I have 3 dates that I have available for January. I have the 8th, the 13th, or the 14th. And then we can come back to the committees.
You said the 8th, the
13th, or the 14th.
Let's see. There's nothing there. Sorry, I have 3 calendars I have to check.
No, I get it. I'm the same way.
So I'm good with any of the dates. Thinking out loud, knowing we've got to get some bids on the fence and whatnot. When we've got Christmas and New Year's, you lose a week. I'm inclined to say either the 13th or 14th, just to give at least a solid couple weeks of actually working days to get those bids in and done. But I don't know if I feel strong enough to, if you guys feel otherwise.
I'm good with 13 or 14.
The 13th would be better for me.
Yeah.
So the January 13th at 6 p.m. 25. All right. Okay, so moving on to committees. So the way committees work is the board can appoint committees. And again, one of the board members has to be the chair on there has to be a chair on every committee. You have to appoint members to the committees that are interested. So the best way would be, if you're looking at doing committees, we need to know what committees you want to have, such as the painting, the community engagement / newsletter. We then send out an email to the community and ask who would be interested in serving on such X committees, and then can get that information to you. At the next meeting, you can appoint those members.
Nice. Okay.
What committees are we talking about? Arc Request Painting Committee, Landscape Committee. What are we referring to?
So I know we had 2 we'd kind of put on there. One was a arc / painting. committee. And now, Brooke, for the painting piece of it, is that something we have to have as like an agenda and then we vote on, or is it we can say, hey, this is what we want this committee to do, and we form the committee and we get it done?
So you form the committee. If you're asking them to update a paint palette for the community, you'd form the committee. They would then what we would do is I would contact Dunn Edwards or Sherman-Williams to give us an updated paint palette. I'd then provide those updated palettes to the committee. They'd search through them because they'd give you 64 colors at a time, usually, and they can sort through the colors, suggest then to the chair. The chair then at the next meeting would bring that, or the meeting after that would bring that to the board. The board has to make the final decision.
Okay. And we could have like, if we had like an architecture or art committee, we
The
can
art
encompass that as part of the paint palette, or does it have, or would it have to be separate?
It can be the same, but if you make an architectural committee, they're the ones that approve the architectural requests, not the board.
So if we did that piece, all right, we had a committee who was approving architectural requests, which I am not at all opposed to. Do they have to approve them all, or could there be like, okay, this category of art request has to be
They
approved by
have
the
to
committee?
approve them all.
All or
Every
nothing.
architectural request would go to the architectural committee.
So I understand in the past there have been miscommunications or misunderstandings on certain architectural requests in the past that have resulted in like substantial improvements on the house or add-ons. Um, this would imply that this art committee would approve those, but the board would still be liable in the event that there was some sort of legal issue. I think that that's obvious, right?
Yep.
What role or responsibility or like safeguard is there for a chairperson that's or the chair for this committee to avoid those types of circumstances from occurring?
You're covered under the HOA policy as kind of like it extends past as like a board member. You're covered. Basically, you're technically a board member at that chair, so you have to be a board member, so you still have the same safeguards as a board member does. I'll be honest, architectural committees can get you into trouble sometimes because some people I've seen, and I'm not trying to say that they're a bad thing, but they play favorites. I've seen a lot of committees pay favorites. They approve something for one and not the other. Now, when something's done in a house, a precedence is not set. A precedence can only be set by a judge. So,
But
if
technically, you'd have a board member on there who, in theory, they're the ones who overseeing just to make sure things like that don't happen, right? It's on their watch essentially.
it is, but it still tends to happen a lot. And they have to know the documents. They have to read the setbacks in your CCNRs. They have to know all the guidelines and everything else.
Got it. And so if there was, go ahead, Marcus.
I like the idea of community involvement. I think it's fantastic. Right here, right now, we see what 4 or 5 ARC requests a week, maybe. I don't know if that's something that we need to unload right now. I don't know. You know, it's not cumbersome. I think to any of us to approve them, we're good within 12, 24 hours to approve them. So it's not, and they're not. I don't foresee them increasing more. You know, so. I like community involvement idea though. I just don't know if the ARC request would be the best one to do that with.
Yeah,
you have more of a legal liability with architectural requests versus you have a painting committee, you have a newsletter committee, you have a community engagement or like a social committee, things like that. Those things there's not a legal liability standpoint.
I was just reading something on the how ARC committees that there is some risk involved, understandably. Can we proceed with, or rather not proceed, can we propose now then a painting, changing the color palette committee? Because I can say personally, as somebody that just painted their house, I looked through the color palettes, it's dated, and there needs to be some updates. We have people that are painting, mixing and matching different colors, stuff like that. They look great. I haven't seen anything that's terrible, but getting community feedback on that for a community that sees every house that they live next to every single day, it seems reasonable that we should have some people speaking up and having a say in that.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I like a painting committee, not necessarily an art committee, but a painting committee would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just do a painting committee as one separate committee to update the color sun.
I'm not a painter. I can't stand painting.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
do
I'll
you guys?
motion for a committee.
Okay.
For
So Brooke, do
painting.
we have to motion for each separate community, or do we want to talk about them all and then motion at once?
You can talk about them all and then motion at once, and then we can send one mass email and say, to homeowners and ask which committee they'd like to be on, and please let us know if you'd like to be on a committee.
Okay.
What other committees are you thinking about, Cody?
So so we've got it on here, but I really want to figure out how to start getting a newsletter out, just more information with what we're doing, what's going on in the community, events, and just let everyone know what's going on, right? I'll be honest, I don't have the time to write a newsletter. I don't. I wouldn't even know how to. English writing is not my thing. Um, but I would love to get the information out to the community. I think it would help a ton if we could show people, hey, look, yeah, here's the arc request, here's what's going on. Hey, we're trimming these trees, or hey, we're doing this. And especially as we get into this wall stuff, having a nice way for people to be able to say, hey, this section is gonna be dedicated to walls for the next 1 or 2 or however many years, and they'll know, hey, right now we're on this section, or here's the steps. I just think it'd be a great way to make sure, just to help get information out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have to imagine in our neighborhood there are homeowners who are well more skilled at that kind of stuff than I am.
I could personally vouch for that. There are definitely people better than you at that.
I'll take that.
No
So,
faith. I'm just kidding.
hey, I'm not gonna pretend to say I can do something I can't. So, now I know Alex, you had emailed to the community engagement. Do you want to kind of tag into what you were kind of thinking with that piece, or are we thinking just a newsletter committee, or what do you guys think?
I really think that this could be one in the same, that the responsibility or privilege, I guess, to be able to do this. The community engagement is largely thinking getting we've got a neighborhood full of families. We've got kids that are playing on streets, that there are families in our community. We have neighbors that have verbally expressed interest in wanting to have some get-togethers. Just this past week, I drove by 3 different communities just on the way home from an event where they were having a big community, Christmas gathering where they had Santa Claus was there to visit the kids and stuff like that. I'm not saying that we need that, but doesn't that make a community more of a community when we have some things where the community is able to get together? Sure, people that live on the same street or that know each other, they get together, but what about new opportunities to get to know each other? And I think that in the state that our community is in right now, that's something that we desperately need. And there are people that have, again, expressed interest in participating in something like that in order to be able to help foster some, communal support and, I guess, friendship, that would be sorely needed here right now, in my opinion.
Makes sense. No, I agree with him. I think that's a great call. I mean, I've had numerous people say that as well. Just, how do we rebuild? How do we bring the community back together and just let's get back to being a community? So, I think it could be all being one, right? One group responsible. Again, it would tie in the newsletter, right? If we're planning a social event, well, how do we communicate people? Well, it's in the newsletter. So that makes sense to me.
I like that idea.
I would just need a motion for the 2 committees, the paint, like a paint palette committee and a community engagement / newsletter committee.
I'm inclined to motion it and just say we start with 2. This is kind of where I'm at. I don't know when we try and grab too much more than that right now.
I think that's definitely enough to bite off and chew. Yeah.
Okay. I'll motion.
And I will second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. I do see we have Bill. Bill, I'll ask you to unmute for the comment on the committee.
Thank you. Yes, this is Governing Architectural Committee. A brief history is that with the Greenfield Lakes HOA on the original onset of an architectural committee, we had one board member govern it, and we had up to 10 people on the committee. all the board member there was to do was to monitor to make sure that the CCNRs were addressed to cover it. That was basically it. If a homeowner wanted to put a windmill in front of their house, we looked at the CCNRs to see if that would comply. We did not get into personalness. We did not get into that's going to look ugly. Personal did not get involved. It was going after the CCNRs. Now, if we said to the fact that the board said, okay, we're going to say no to this, that was then brought to the board, and also a letter was sent to the homeowner. If you dispute this, please come to the next board meeting and you can have in a private session, talk to the entire board to give your side as to why or what your intention was, rather than not having one board member have that control of controlling. It was the homeowner had a right to speak up to the board the reasons why. And a lot of stuff was overturned at our board meetings because personal preference came into it. We went over the CCNRs. So I'm saying is there's pros and cons to it, but just by following the CCNRs, you're covered. Don't worry about liability because the board would not be liable if some construction goes up and the construction fails. The board is not liable for it because that goes to whoever the contractor is that the homeowner did. All you're doing is just okaying or denying a request from a homeowner to improve their property. That's it, simple and plain. And by having committees, this would cover it all, and then give the homeowner the option to come and address the board if a no came in, so that the whole board can hear what the homeowner is intending to do. And we had homeowners come in with architectural plans, complete. This is what we're doing, a complete difference from what the architectural request form was submitted. So there's a lot of that, and it was done in a private committee because we didn't want other homeowners to listen in, and the homeowner didn't feel comfortable with having other homeowners listening in on that. So there's a lot on there to discuss, and I hope you take that into consideration. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Shelly, asking you to unmute.
There it goes. Sorry about that. No, I just wanted to second what Alex had mentioned about having a community, like a social committee or however you guys want to name that, I think would be huge, because living here 10 plus years, we've never had anything like that. And I couldn't agree more. I drove past just even the ones that surround our area, and everybody had some kind of holiday event, and we're basically having to attend those different events with other family just to participate in it. So the sooner we can get that happening, I think the better for our community.
Perfect.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Shelley. I like it.
Great. Seeing no more hands, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. All right, so it is 7:15, so I will ask the board to adjourn to executive session.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight.
I just
Thank
need a
you.
motion.
Oh,
Motion. Sorry, Brooke.
That's okay.
second.
Thank you, Marcus. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi. Merry
Thank
Christmas,
you,
guys.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Board, I'll be opening the other meeting.